45 years ago. About 45 years ago, me with some other friends, like-minded people, had attended a lecture in the Pine Street Madrasa Hall. And the lecturer suggested that if you, telling the audience, if you memorize half a dozen different verses from the Quran with their meaning, you will shine in any gathering. Wherever you are, Allah's kalam acts as an ornament, it acts as a weapon of attack and defense. From every point of view, different verses, just memorize them and it will hold you in good stead. I and a friend, Mr. Suleiman Seth, he passed away. He had a shop in 144 Queen Street. We are now in 124 IPCI. He was at 144 Queen Street. We came to an agreement. I said, Suleiman, if you come across an ayah that tickles you, write it down and give it to me. Same thing, if I come across an ayah that tickles me, you know, I get fascinated with it. I want to play with it. I will write it and give it to you. You memorize that and I will memorize what you give me. That's the game we are going to play now. Memorizing verses. So this verse I read to you is the first verse he wrote and gave it to me about 45 years ago on a piece of paper. And I memorized it. And we made this as the logo on the IPCI letterhead. So invite all to the ways of the Lord with wisdom and with beautiful preaching. We made that a logo on the IPCI letterhead, even today. It's there. So, and this verse is so common. Our Muslim brothers, they know this word. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati. And they're always using this, not to teach people how to do dawah with hikmah, but trying to correct the person. This morning, I was at the Felicia Mabuzo show. I was a participant there. While going before going on to the stage, two Muslim brothers, they quoted me this, you know, hikmat se kam lena, you know, bil hikmati. You know what's the message? In other words, the guy is saying, don't, he says, don't, you know, spoil the show. If you have the chance, you tell me now, what is this hikmah? Show me hikmah. No, every time a man is asking me, he's quoting me this ayah, he's implying that you, Mr. Deedat, are not using hikmah. Ask him, what is hikmah? He says, wisdom. I said, that's the translation. I want you to show me wisdom. How do you implement these words? Bankrupt. But now, before we get into bil hikmah, I said there are things that we are to avoid. Things we are to avoid in dawah. And it's a very powerful ayah in the Holy Quran which instructs us things not to do, the way not to do. I start with that. See, Sheikh Sadi Rahmatullah alayh, one of our great philosopher poets, people asked him, he says, Ya Sheikh Sadi, where did you learn all your good manners from? Very, very cultured, mannered person. Where did you learn all your good manners from? He said, I learned it from the unmannerly. I learned this good manners from the guys who've got no manners. He said, how can you learn good manners from a guy who's got no manners? He says, you see, everything that the other guy did, which I didn't like, I said, no, I won't do that. Eliminate from my life. You behave like this is how you talk? Brawling, shouting, pushing things down. I won't do that. Everything I see in somebody that I don't like, I said, I won't do that. I won't do that. I just eliminated all those shortcomings that people have, and I am what I am. So, getting rid of. And we in Islam, when a person accepts Islam, we are born Muslim, most of us, I take it, we are all Muslims. But when a person accepts Islam, we make him to read the Shahada, the Kalima. And how does it start? How does the Kalima start? La ilaha. You start with La. You know what's La? No. There is no ilaha. There is no object of worship illallah, except Allah. The most powerful word in any language. La, no, nie, ta. In any language, this word no is the very, very most powerful word in every language on earth. Once a person says no, you have to move heaven and earth to make him to say yes. Do you know that? In salesmanship they teach us. See to it that when you go to sell something to the shopkeeper, the traveling salesman, don't allow the guy to say no. Don't reach that, let him not reach that stage. Once he says no, now to persuade him to say yes. You want to marry somebody's daughter. And as soon as they look, I want to marry your daughter, he says no. Finish. How are you going to make him to change now? You have to move heaven and earth. So it's a very, very powerful word, and Allah begins instructing us. He says, wala, 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 and don't. Wala tujadilu ahlal kitabi illa billati hiya ahsan. And I had the good fortune to say people throwing things at me. So I have to learn to find out how to defend myself with Allah's kalam. So I learned this ayah as well. And a beautiful message was given to me. It was about 6 months ago. It was winter time. Maghrib was around 5 o'clock. So I get a telephone call from Mr. Babu Jadwat. Ideals. You know Ideal Corner? Ideal clothing people? Ideal. That Ideal Corner. There got so many Ideal shops. Jadwats. So he phones me. He says, Uncle, there is a group of 6 Saudis coming along, and I want you to be at the airport welcoming these people. So the natural excuse, I said, look man, I live on the north coast. I have to pass, go to the south coast, to the airport, and then 8 o'clock at night, and then you take me home, he says, for supper. It'll finish at 11, 12 o'clock. I says, look, leave me out. Next day, I said, that group is visiting my office, so I'll meet them. He says, no, I need you. I said, okay, if you need me, I will be there. So I was there. 8 o'clock, the people arrived. Dr. Ahmed Tutunji, a man who had opened Saudi Arabia to me, the Imam of the Al-Raji Masjid. Al-Raji is a very rich man. He's got banks in Saudi Arabia. He's built a masjid in Riyadh called Al-Raji Masjid, Imam of that masjid, and the son of Al-Raji Bank, and 3 other Saudis. So we met them, welcomed them, and went to Mr. Babu Jadwat's house somewhere in Sydenham. Big house, big palace. We went there. And when we arrived there, there were about 50 people there, because it was dinner. If there was dinner or lunch here, we would have had the hall filled. No, right? You see. So there were about 50 people there. The guests, the visitors, they said, you see, we haven't made our Maghrib and our Isha yet. I took it that bulk of the people must have done the Maghrib and Isha, the Muslims, all Muslims. So I said, no, I'll also join you. So I joined the people for Maghrib and Isha. After making wudu and joining them, I said, Allahu Akbar for Maghrib. I said, I already did Maghrib. It was around 5 o'clock Maghrib. So in my mind, from 5 to 8 to 9, it looked like I did Asr. But what can I do? So I remained behind the Imam, and you are allowed in Islam. You can carry on, you can make your niyyah for any salah behind the Imam. If there's a Jamaat standing, and if you want to add 2 more of your own, you can make any niyyah and join behind the Imam. So I joined behind the Imam with that Saudi group. In the second rakat of Maghrib, the Imam is reading, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْهُمْ وَقُولُوا آمَنَّا بِالَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا وَأُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ وَإِلَٰهُنَا وَإِلَٰهُكُمْ وَاحِدٌ وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. And we finished the next rakat. Finished the Maghrib. Then did Isha. They did 2. I did 4. Finished that. Now, all the surahs he has been reading, it was like water on duck's back. I heard and I didn't hear. I couldn't remember a thing. There are 6,000 verses in the Quran. And if an Imam reads it, would you remember what he's reading? What he's reading? Unless you have the Quran, or maybe you had something special to do with that ayah that the man is reading. as a message for you? No. Bulk of all the verses he read were like water on duck's back. It just flowed away. But this verse in the second rakat made an impression on my mind. You know why? Because I knew the meaning. I knew the meaning of the verse. So I said, hey, this man is talking to me. He's addressing me. This targeting me. So after Salat, I want to get near to him to ask him. I said, why did you read that ayah? He had no chance. So we sat down to eat. Across the table from me is Dr. Ahmed Tutunji.